Well, I've been in this industry my whole career. I won't tell you how many years, although I wrote it down here. But I've been involved with technical training, leadership training, organizational development, and executing interventions, team building, all those types of things for many years. I worked in oil and gas, airlines, nuclear power, healthcare. I like to learn and try new industries and things, and keeps me fresh. And work with succession planning, employee engagement. So really a broad spectrum when you think about talent management or talent development. I've been in my current role 2 years, and I work at Enbridge, and I manage their leadership and organizational development department here in the Houston area. And so I'm responsible for the local needs of this business unit, but I also manage the E-wide or enterprise-wide leadership development program, which you'll hear a little bit more about later. And so from a perspective, probably not what you were expecting, but I want to talk about the industry as a whole, that I'm just excited about our industry, how relevant it is, because so much is changing. Technology, our learners, economy, and because of it, I think that we in this industry are more relevant and needed to stay on top of this, to stay ahead of it, to really support our learners and the companies that we work at to meet the needs. And so I also see us being more holistic, because we're now looking at, again, the word talent development or even talent management. We're looking at, are we hiring the right people, developing them through their career, and then hopefully retiring them, and what's it going to take for us to help those people be as successful as possible. So when I think about the L&D perspective and where I sit, I'm looking at a holistic view, but I'm also thinking of us in our industry, wearing my multiple hats. So it's a very, very exciting time, and I'm just really thrilled to be in it right now.
Again, I spent 24 years in the Navy, and one of the most fortunate things that I happened to be in the Navy is I got to do 2 tours with the Chief of Naval Education and Training. And I don't, a lot of people don't realize that the Navy has the world's largest vocational education school in Chicago. Right, we train all the engineers. And one of the jobs I had up there was I was superintendent of quality and curriculum development for all the engineering system schools. So that really helped out. And when I retired in 1992 after 24 years, I networked and got a job at Stewart Stevenson. And they said, well, our training is done by a lot of outside people. We don't really need a lot of training. So, but you have background in gas turbines, we're going to hire you as a field service technician. I did that for about 3.5 years, and then next thing you know, they made me marketing manager. I don't know why. I don't have a degree in marketing. That was probably the most dissatisfied I ever was with Stewart Stevenson as being a marketing manager. And I started getting other employees and started selling training outside the company on our equipment. And after the 4th year of doing that, we were selling about $5.5 million a year in training to customers. Then they came to me in 2003 and said, listen, you're doing such a good job of this, can you start developing or putting together a training group within the company? And we started that. And today we have 5 training centers. We train average between 2,500 to 3,000 employees a year, and about another 1,500 to 2,000 in customers and everything else. And to latch on what you said, training is more relevant right now than it has ever been. And right now, with our state of the oil and gas industry going on, we're having people retiring, people are moving. It's just going to mean we have to make sure that our employees retain talent, and they're prepared to bring in and coach other people and new talent. One of the things I told our Vice President of Operation about 2 days ago was we can't not train our existing employees, because if we don't and we start hiring on them when it eventually comes around, we're going to foster a lot of bad habits, a lot of things that we don't want to have. So we got to continually keep that training up in the forefront of what we do as a business. So.
Which is National Oilwell Varco for those of you who don't know. But it's a lot shorter. So I worked in executive education at Purdue University, which is located in West Lafayette, Indiana. And Purdue has a degree of selling and sales management. A number of years ago, in 2007, NOV was looking for a partnership with a university that offered some kind of selling degree and that kind of training specifically. So at that time, I mostly partnered with a number of agribusiness and chemical companies. Those were mostly my customers. So I did a number of different types of programs with those customers. And then in 2007, I met this oil and gas company in Indiana. And NOV, we partnered and developed a program which was originally a sales management program, but it evolved over the years into a leadership program, a leadership development program. So after working with them for 7 years on that program, at that time I went off and during that stint, I had gotten a Master's of Science of Education in Learning Design and Technology, and knew after just working in corporate education and working with people and then seeing the leadership side being brought to it and seeing how we impacted people and actually changed people, I knew that that was the direction that I wanted to go. So that's kind of where I focused my master's program too, is leadership and also industry, helping employees, not K-12, which was another way you could do it. But in 2014, I guess, we had finished our final NOV Purdue program, and I said, I'm leaving. I'm done with university speed, university pay, all that. And so NOV said, well, come work for us, duh. So that was kind of an easy move. Got to move south, got to be with all my friends that I'd helped train over the years. So I've been now at NOV for 1 year. I'm their manager of their NOV University. Biggest thing that I'm excited about right now is that I'm the ambassador of change. So sometimes you need armor for that. But that's kind of what I do. I spot the truth, and I'm always connecting the dots. So if I see that our learning is not really leading to organizational results, which is what this week is about, then we're not doing it right. We're not asking the right questions, or we're just not thinking anymore. We're just getting into our routine of what we always do. So that's kind of where my challenge is. And I think the learning industry in general is stop doing a bunch of stuff.
Yes.
And let's now respond to the learners and create something real that matters.
I represent edOpp Solutions. So first, edOpp stands for Educational Opportunities. So at the core of who we are ambassadors for education. We actually, when I say we, I'm talking like my business partner right here, because usually she is, but she's in the back, Miss Dion, and we actually are bringing a unique perspective to the panel because we are a small business company that works with clients of all industries and all sizes to develop learning programs. It all started way back when we were working in employees and we met in higher education. But we have a big background in training, in education, in learning, and we felt that at the time, we didn't know each other. We just met each other on site at the company. But we felt like we could do more beyond the walls of that company. So we branched out on our own and launched edOpp Solutions. So we've been in business since 2009. We've served the greater Houston area as well as Georgia and Rhode Island. We've been pretty much everywhere, different conferences and different events and helping different clients. From the IT industry to the restaurant and retail industry. We've helped develop customer service programs, corporate ESL programs, even from the small business who has been in business for 12 to 15 years but never took an opportunity to invest in their people through learning, but yet they want to grow. So what we recognize is that learning helps you to actually grow. So what we do with each client is connect the art of learning with the power of strategy. So at the core, we're a workplace learning and strategy company, and we're here to help all our clients work with purpose.
I work right now as the facilitation manager at FMC Technologies here in Houston. Been with FMC just shy of 3 years now, but I've had a chance within that time to work in organizational development, talent management, and now as a facilitator. The way we look at it between facilitation and training, it's kind of two sides of similar coins. I look at it like this. It's the training, the expertise comes from the front of the room, right? You're the expert on the topic, imparting knowledge to the group. Facilitation is just the opposite. In fact, the expertise comes from the room itself. It's a facilitator's job to draw that out and help that group come up with actionable items, decisions, and then a way forward. So that's what we're doing on my team right now. I have over 10 plus years of experience within training and development. I worked for a local company here in Houston that basically was a training vendor. I worked as a trainer in front of the room delivering classes, making classes themselves, training trainers to certify on content, and then as a talent manager to recruit trainers and bring them on board. So everything except wash dishes involved in there. As far as exciting things right now, it's really, honestly, a lot of it's what happens after the classroom. That gets us excited quite a bit. We do a lot within knowledge management and capturing information, sharing knowledge within the organization. We've been making some fantastic strides in that recently. Our company won an award for Most Admired Knowledge Enterprise. We won it on the global as well as the Americas. First time for global, second time in a row for Americas, and been building on some successes on kind of formulating that learning organization label. Is getting people to actually do it because they're not paid to do it.
Yeah.
Right? So we have a lot of our, for example, engineers make up 20% of our population. And so it's a large degree of technical knowledge that can help build upon each other, right? Almost every work they do has to be billed. The time they spend, billable time, billable time, billable time. So for them to actually do something, record a video or create a page, it sometimes it's hard to account for that time. So it's getting their time involved, but once they start seeing the return, once they start seeing how they benefit from it, they start actually actively participating. I got some stories I'll share on that later, but we've got some really cool things on that. You said the risks involved is really sometimes oversharing, or being too eager where someone has experience on a topic, I'm going to post on it, but because it's not my area of expertise, someone feels like their patch has been infringed on. Right? I have a safety topic. I'm an engineer. I'm posting a safety topic, but now someone from safety feels like, no. That's my field. I need to have oversight of this. So there's a little bit of kind of territorial stuff that goes on, especially when you're having a growing millennial population and an aging workforce in, let's say, oil and gas is traditionally skewed a lot more older. So it's that kind of generational stuff and how you manage expectations.
There are 4 P's that are critical to the success of every organization. The first P is purpose. And then when you can attach learning to your core purpose, your mission, then you begin to have a foundation for P. The next P is your people to embrace. I think sometimes you talked about like kind of the randomness sometimes of training. But if everybody had a focal point, which is your purpose, and we put not so much put the word learning, but we put the outcome of learning in our purpose, then I think that our employees have something to resonate on. And then with people, of course, that's your employees, but it's also even your stakeholders and customers. And we share with them how we embrace the importance of learning, then we can also put that in our culture. The third P is processes, and what we found from our clients, that's the P that gets broken a lot because people change and go, people get promoted, move on, get fired, and unfortunately we attach processes to people and not positions, and so when a person leaves, the process is broken. But if we can put learning into each process, so maybe do a desk audit where each position has their P and P, so when the person leaves, there's still a process in place. So what we've been doing with our clients is to help them develop learning modules around processes and not just communication skills, but let's talk about the process that we need to improve the performance of our company. And then the last P is performance. If we can attach learning to our performance goals, I remember I know there's a current debate that they want to get rid of the performance evaluations, it's dead. And I'm like, wait, hold up. maybe we were doing it wrong, but there's still a good, viable reason to use it. But have we attached it to learning goals or learning outcomes? Have we attached it, because I think the performance evaluation was written in the HR office based on a job descriptions on duties and not on what actually transpired in the workplace. So L&D needs to be a part of that performance management procedure and attach learning goals and have a learning plan for each employee. If we can attach learning to performance in that way, then we have created a culture where our purpose, our people, our processes, and our performance all align under learning. It sounds like I just said it, but it's taken for some of our clients, it's taken over a year to get that fleshed through and going through their layers of executive, mid-level, frontline. So it's not like it's an overnight thing, but we keep working at it. I think it's very possible, and I think that's the only way it's going to be actually ingrained into the culture.
Well, first of all, I just want to say I think it's awesome sitting here because of the stuff that I'm hearing. I feel like I should,
Be taking notes?
Yeah, I am. So, really, NOV did not need any help from me to create a culture of training. Okay, so they love training and they send all their people to training. And the former NOV University, before me and other new leadership people came on, was organized in colleges that had certain areas, and it was all content focused. So everything was pre-designed content. It didn't really matter who was coming in. They were all open enrollment. Anyone could sign up. It was just training slapped on every single. There wasn't a problem. It was just every employee. So now I'm still dealing with, because what we called those legacy programs now, and they are no longer available. Which of course that's, oh my God, what are we going to do instead? And I'm convincing people to think differently. Like, why did you need to send them to that? What was your problem? Let's talk about it. So now I've been retraining my staff and my organization to talk in terms of problems. I know that training, at least, or learning in NOV is also deemed as a reward. You send people because it's a reward. I understand that. That's the reality of business. It's not always a performance problem. That's okay, but let's still give them something that they gain when they go, right? So yeah, it's a reward, but they get something from it. There's something that they hadn't thought of. So we're having those conversations now. I was talking to Diane from FMC. So they've already been doing this where they're diagnosing problems. And so that's what we're kind of retraining the organization to do, is to ask for problems and to keep going until you get to the root cause. And then we develop something. It may not be training. It might not be sitting in a classroom. I have one group that I worked with, and he said, well, I need what was he calling it? A team building class. I said, okay, Simon, you think a 6-hour class is going to solve your problems with these people? And he went, no. Okay, so we've gotten beyond that. The problem is his employees, he didn't see them working together and take into account what their actions did to impact the others. And through our conversation, he said, oh, well, in one of my past jobs, I did a process mapping exercise with the employees, and it was great. We learned about what we did. And I said, okay, well, then that can be part of this development solution. Here we go. So now they're doing this big process mapping exercise where all employees, all levels of that group are involved in mapping their processes and seeing where they connect to each other and how they impact each other. So not only are they seeing how they impact each other, they're working as a team. So he solved both of his problems, and it went beyond sitting in a classroom. So you have to think differently. And if you can get your organization to do that, help me. Tell me how.
Been said here already this evening, and it's almost like flashbacks. Some of the same stuff, and like what you were just saying about training going on, and just anybody can just join the training. And that was one of the things that I had difficulty with Stewart Stevenson. One of the things, and Jill knows this, our company was put together in 1902. We were established. We're over 113 years old. And a good friend of both of ours used to say, the good thing about Stewart Stevenson, we have a lot of long tenured people. The bad thing is, we still got a lot of people. And one of the things that I had to overcome when I put this training department together, number one, I had to take this, I was looking at these trainers we had, and they were outstanding technicians, but they didn't know how to deliver training. They didn't know what effective training was. So I had to tackle that aspect of it, bringing in people. I think we used Jill several times of training these people on what are our objectives, how to present them in class, how to know you did it effectively, how to do question techniques, and we're talking about a dozen people in this one. Now, I had to go back and look at what our company was doing for training out around the whole company. And I would find, as somebody else said, I find an engineer says, well, that's my subject matter expert, and I'll go out and source the training. Well, was it effective? What was the credentials of the guy you brought in here to do the training, or the company, right? And I finally, I'm seeing the curve turn to tell them that, hey, that our training department is a resource, right? Yes, you're a subject matter expert, and we want to be partnered with you to find this training, but let us help you determine whether it's effective training. And maybe it's something we've already got a relationship with a company at time for another location. I mean, I literally had found in our company at one time, a gentleman in San Antonio contracted 4 days of training for $15,000, right, for 3 people.
Not with me.
No, it wasn't me. This was technical training. And I called the individual up and I said, why didn't you contact the training center? Well, I know about this equipment. I said, you know what? We could have made it, number one, find out if it was effective training, and it may make it more cost effective and bring other people into the same training. So that's a big problem that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. You know, one of the things we're dealing with now, and because of the generation gaps and the change in they all worked as a team and showed you how to do things, and we don't have that anymore. So now we have effectively, how do we, those procedures, those processes those guys took with them, how do we recreate that? And the only thing we can do, and we started in our training department, is now, in our industry, we're the only training department that is ISO 9001 certified. And I have 19 people on my staff, and they're all ingrained now to do processes. And that's one of the things we go out and we do a technical training or a soft skill training. We look at what do we have it documented and how we're going to recreate this, and is it the right process for the company. But it is a continually, I almost say like a marketing strategy from a training standpoint of continually pushing yourself out there, continually delving into somebody else's department, some to the point you don't want to be bothered. We say, what are you doing for training? How can we help you? Right? Are you evaluating your employees, your direct reports, and seeing and assessing that they need training? And don't just go off on your own. Contact us. Let us help you with it.
I've only been at Enbridge a couple of years, and so there were a number of processes already in place regards training and development. So I'll focus on my piece of the pie down here in the Houston area. Fortunately for me, Enbridge, as part of their 5-year big strategic plan, that's at the CEO level, a key component of our strategic plan is to develop and retain people. It's a strong component that even when we did layoffs last year, and even just most recently in Canada last month, it was stressed from our CEO on down how important developing people is. And so no budgets were cut. Can you believe that? So you know how it is, generally training gets so that's stayed in place. And how locally I support that and align to that strategy is, number one, it's first off, individual development plans. Last year, we put into place electronic development plans enterprise-wide, and they've been here in Houston for a couple of years. But we encourage each and every employee to build a plan, and we work with the 70-20-10 model, which I'm sure some of you are familiar with. And when people develop their plans and their goals for career development or even just broader development, they're asked to specify in each of those areas where are they going to add some development. So that's a piece. And additionally to employees filling out that plan, we encourage and actually we hold managers accountable to hold career development discussions at least a couple times a year. And so those two go hand in hand. And we track and report to our senior leadership that people have done these activities. Now, some people, we know they're just checking the box. Oh, I did one and I had the conversation. We know that, but it's a work in progress. to begin to move people forward to continually grow themselves. Because a common question is asked, I'm going to retire, why do I need to bother, right? Or I do the same job day in and day out, why should I do this? And so one of my roles and my team's role is to coach how to develop in those type of situations. The other ones are easier because people want to grow up or sideways. So that's a component of me supporting learning. Another is, of course, our corporate university, similar to what other folks have. And the key that I've been pushing is to be really strategic about our content. So I do some data mining in the IDPs. So I surface, what do people want? What's going to help people be more effective on the job? Not something fluffy, but practical and tangible. Similar to we need to have the right content, not just let's throw a bunch of courses out there. So I've been much more practical this past year about what makes sense. Jill's been one of my vendors too. Really important to leverage our vendor partners. We hire people externally to support us. And then another is our mentoring program. We focus strongly on mentoring and are always encouraging people to join, whether they're a mentor or a protege. And it's expected at our directors and above that they step in and be a mentor. And so those are different components that I utilize to support just learning and development, especially locally, and build that culture. Building on other aspects such as a competency framework for leadership, competencies framework for our employee level as well, so that, again, there's some purpose to hang their content on. And there's the whole technical training is handled by our technical people. I don't personally get involved with that. It's just more professional development and leadership development.